What is going on? Cyberspace, hello. Welcome to the HyperPixel podcast. I am Michael K. And there's a purple guy over there, and his name is Zerain. What's going on, Zerain?
Not a whole lot, brother.
Excellent.
I am overcoming my sickness, which is why we didn't have an episode last week.
Yes.
But I am feeling much, much better. I may sound a little off. If so, that's why. But if not, awesome. I do feel basically 100%. I would say 98%, 99% is how I feel.
That's
right
good.
Now. So I'm good.
That's good to hear.
That's a happy occurrence. How about you, sir?
I'm good. It feels strange to be like in a room with like actual things behind me and not just a giant green wall, which is where I've been spending most of my time the past week, basically. So yeah. So good. Things are going well.
Real things behind you are good.
Real things behind me are excellent. So, what have you been doing in Sector X since you've been back there, back in the future, in 2122? By the way, you know,
right.
Whatever happened that you were here, you know, in this year, and you've traveled back or forward in time to where you are. Like, what have you been doing?
So I must have like in that, you know, spatial temporal tube caught something. That's why I got sick.
That's
I guess.
unfortunate.
But that's kind of what I've been doing, being sick. But
them cyber bugs, man.
right. Not a whole lot. I did. This is so dumb. So like, I got to the point where I'm like, I wasn't feeling playing Final Fantasy VI. I'm like, that's an investment. I don't feel like doing that right now. So I did a dumb and I started playing another game, which I've played before. I don't know what possessed me to play this game, but I feel like I'm glad I am now. Just because the experience of it is just it's so good, and the game's so overdone that it's like everybody's like, get on with it now, and I understand why. But I started playing Skyrim again.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's just the music and the setting and just being in that world is just fun for me, and I forgot how much fun. Like I feel like I'm enjoying it more now than when I played it previously.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I'm not like before I was like a lot of pressure on like finding the main quest line and following the main quest line. And I'm not doing that now. I'm trying to just have fun with the game.
Right.
And, it's been a really good experience. Like
that's cool.
I like that game a lot. It's way better than Oblivion. Way better than Oblivion.
See I got so burned out on Oblivion.
Yeah.
So burned out on Oblivion even that like I really have a hard time playing that kind of game now.
I can understand that. I really can.
Yeah. I hate that. Like I really do. So I basically played Skyrim for the Thomas the Tank Engine mod, quite literally.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. Right.
Man, I hate dragons in that game. I really do. Like I understand why functionally they're in it. They have to be. I mean, it's like kind of the story, but it's like that's like my least favorite part of the game. Honestly, whatever. What are you gonna do? So last time I played, so I've played through. I don't know that I've actually completed the main quest line. Like I've gotten pretty close, and I've watched people complete it. You know, I've watched like speed runs and stuff too. It's like so I know about it.
Is that actually a super long game?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Like I'm not going to quote a time because I don't know, but it's not long at all. Like speedrun is not long. But obviously that's a game. If you're not aware, people listening or watching, like if you're not aware, you might want to go play it because it's an interesting experience just in and of itself. But
it's on sale all the time. Like I got it for $5 or whatever, like several years ago.
It is 1,000,000% worth $5.
Yeah.
Like, and the time you'll invest in it. Maybe too much time for some people for sure. Because I have a friend who like, he's way into like the whole fantasy thing, kind of like I am. And he may even be more than I am, to be honest. And when I was installing it, I was like, oh yeah, he plays this. Well, duh, I should have known he plays this. Because he's into a lot of like the Norse culture and stuff too, and that's a lot of big stuff with Skyrim.
Yeah.
and like he has like 500 hours in it or something like that.
Woo!
Yeah,
Woo!
and I know he plays like all kinds of mods and stuff on it,
Yeah.
but going back to what I was saying, for those of you who don't know, there's so much to do in this game. There's like if that 500 hours, I guarantee you, even if you didn't play any mods, would not exhaust everything that you could do in the game. You could probably put 1,000 hours into this game before you did everything there is to do.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Especially if you don't already know what's what and where's what and how to do things. And it's like one of those games where, like, if you do certain things, then it excludes you from doing other certain things. And so if you want to see it all, you kind of have to play multiple times through to make opposite decisions and stuff like that. And you can, there's so much of the game unless you're intentionally trying to find stuff, you're going to miss. Like you just are. But one of the previous times that I was playing it, spoilers, you can become a vampire basically in the game, and I did that whole line, and
that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then another time you can become like a master thief and like all this kind of stuff, and I did all that. And so it's like when you do things like that, you become like kind of like an evil character or a bad character, and so it's harder to do things that you would normally be able to easily do, like going to certain cities and all that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
That's the kind of dynamic that the game has that like I really enjoy. And it's one of those things where like I do like the fact that the game has fast travel, but I also don't like that because it's like it's so easy to just lean on the fast travel and like skip so much of the experience of the game of traveling between places.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying, but it's also kind of cool because you get a real sense of the world, and it's huge. It's pretty big. So anyway, I really like that game a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Worth $5 for sure.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of those that like the mods alone are worth that. Are worth the price of admission. Like just all the crazy stuff that people have done. Like what is that? The Macho Man one.
Oh yeah. The thing that's really cool about the game is it reacts a lot to what you do or don't do, and it's like because like it's really subtle, small things that just like really tickle me about it. Because like I was in a I don't know, one of the shops, and I had just sold some stuff, and then I was in my menu and I'm like, oh, I need to change my armor. And so I took off the armor that I had on, and there was a character right next to me that wasn't the shopkeep, and she said, I don't think it's a good idea for you to be walking around naked or something like that. It's like,
oh
like,
man,
what? And then I realized, oh wait, I had taken my clothes off.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, and it's like just little things like that, just subtle details. There's so much of that in that game that it's just really, it's really, really cool. What sucks though is when the little special moments like that become like repetitive. Like,
yeah,
you know, when like you see guards and they're always telling you the same thing, or you see people and then it's like, oh, do you go to the Cloud District often? What am I saying? Of course you don't. And it's like you hear that like 20 times. It's like, bro, you've asked me that a couple times before.
Right.
But until that like that magic gets like kind of like spoiled, it's a really cool magical experience to be in these worlds, because like it's deep and they spend a lot of time like making like that. I can't wait for Elder Scrolls 6. I'm very excited about that. Hopefully they don't mess it up. We'll see.
Right. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff in games when they just spend so much effort just like creating this world.
Yeah.
And that is like my favorite thing in playing a game like ever. Like
for sure.
The Ratchet and Clank stuff is like that in a more cartoony way, obviously.
Yeah.
BioShock is like that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like all these freaking little details that they put in there that you could totally ignore, you could walk past and never interact with, but
yeah.
Whew.
Well, and then BioShock's a really good example where, you know, not only is it a lot of attention to detail and there's a lot of detail put into it, but all of the detail is like in character or in brand for it. It's like every little thing is like, you know, like you said, some corner that you never look at in the game. Well, somebody put a little sign there that they actually designed the sign in the style of everything that's around it, and it's
Yeah.
like you never see it. That
That
sort of thing.
stuff blows my mind that there
Yeah.
are people on that team just designing little background things that don't matter at all in the grand scheme of things, but you go over there and it's like, holy crap, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. This poster over here, that's awesome. I
Right.
want that poster in my house.
Exactly. Yeah. Man, I feel the same way. It's just it's so much a special experience. It's like one
Yeah.
of the biggest reasons why I like video games and stuff like that.
Same.
Yeah, dude.
Rock hard same.
So what have you been up to?
So, this past week was a lot. Well, the past 2 weeks. So I have been, working on filming a lot. So I haven't had a whole lot of time for much video gaming aside from the stream. Which this past week I streamed this game called The Ninja Saviors, which is a retro styled reboot of an arcade game from the 80s, and I got ported to a couple home consoles in the 90s. I think it was like Ninja Warriors, the original game. But anyway, so it's actually made by, and I discovered this like yesterday, it's actually made by the same team that's making that new Ninja Turtles game.
Really?
So that gives me very high hopes for that game.
Yeah.
But it was great. Like it, aside from the fact that I played it halfway through until I realized that you could get to the manual via the start menu and like actually see the move list, because there is a move list that you like need to know to like you freaking cannot beat this game. Like I don't know how you could beat this game without knowing some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, side-scrolling beat 'em up style game. You play as ninja androids, and you're just saving the world. So
As you do.
as you do.
Yeah, I watched a couple minutes of the stream, and it looked like a really cool game. It's definitely like something I'd like to play.
Yeah, it feels like it's like a really good combination of a side-scrolling beat 'em up with kind of like a fighter almost, because of all the different like move combinations, like things that you have to do to do different moves and whatever. So
Sure. It looked like an energy bar that you build up to use for moves.
your battery bar, and like different moves use pieces of the battery bar, or you can have like this ultimate special thing that uses the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
So yeah, that was an excellent game. So I played that, and I have started working on this arcade cabinet that's been sitting in my garage for months that I have been avoiding because it's been freezing outside, and that's just not my lifestyle. So for those of you who don't know, I acquired this arcade cabinet through a friend. Shout out to hacker alias H2O Happy Dude. He found this arcade cabinet literally by a dumpster. Like literally by a dumpster. Like somebody had just chunked it. It wouldn't turn on it, and so he asked me to come over, and I looked at it, and like the wiring on the inside of this thing is freaking terrifying. Like it looked like it was going to burst into flames at any given moment. So anyway, I finagled some stuff, and then it worked. There was a switch that was bad on it, and it's like cool. And then he's like, "Well, I don't really have any room for this or any use for this. So you want it?" And I was like, "Well, don't mind if I do." And so, I have been working on. I basically ripped out all the power guts out of it, and I'm going to be rewiring it with some new stuff. And it is a Neo Geo conversion cabinet, which back in the day, a lot of arcade manufacturers would make their own standalone machines, but they would also make conversion kits so you could turn like an older game into one of their newer games. And so that being said, this used to be some other game, and I'm like 98% sure I know what this is based on some of the parts on the inside and kind of the hint of the artwork underneath the paint job. So I'm going to make like some videos on all this stuff, and I'm going to actually like strip the paint and everything. And we will confirm what this is. But I do know that some of the hardware in this is literally 40 years old. So yeah, there's that.
Well, You got a classic there.
Right. So I'm working on rewiring that, and I got to rebuild the control panel, and it's just going to be a whole
Fun.
thing for months on end. But
Yeah.
little bit at a time.
It'll be
and all
worth
that.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So,
Where are you going to put it when you finish it?
I believe I'm going to put it over here in this corner over here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So I'll have the real shebang there, and then the Turtles arcade 1-up deal here.
That's awesome, dude.
And then ideally a CRT of some flavor right here next to all that. So yeah.
Awesome, dude. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I am definitely looking forward to seeing that come to life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's one of those things like it's taken a ton of research just to even, figure out what I need to buy.
Yeah.
To kind of fix this thing up, but it's definitely going to be like insanely worth it when it's just all done and shiny and all that stuff.
Have you tested like the buttons and stuff, or are you just going to like wholesale replace?
So one of the joysticks doesn't work right. One of them is okay. The buttons could probably just be cleaned and they would be okay. But so it's Neo Geo, so it only has 4 buttons, and I really want 6, so I can play other things in it.
Right.
Like Mortal Kombat needs 5. Street Fighter, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to rebuild the control panel to add more buttons, basically.
Sure.
So
That makes sense.
And I have obviously never rebuilt an arcade control panel before, so I gotta look up all that stuff. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I need to rebuild this chunk of this. Let's do a ton of research and figure out what the heck is going on here. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't begrudge that, but good luck with it.
Yeah. It'll be a good.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah.
Very cool.
So that's been all of my journey, aside from standing in front of a green screen past couple of weeks. But yeah,
you're gonna start turning green. It's gonna be like radioactive.
Man, that might be a problem. Like how we might have to start using a blue screen if that's the case.
True. But then you become like the Toxic Avenger.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Speaking of, that's a cartoon and a movie.
Oh yes, it is. So cyberspace today. Today we are kind of continuing a little bit of an evolution of the discussion that we've had the past several weeks, and we're talking about video games based on TV shows. And when we first kind of brought this up on the last podcast, my initial thought was, I can't really think of anything. And then the moment I thought that, like, I immediately thought of like 100 different things,
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting. I feel like this doesn't happen as often anymore as it used to. Like the movie thing, the movie video game thing definitely still happens, but I don't see as many like TV show video games as I used to, aside from like SpongeBob or
there's some
stuff like that.
South Park.
Yeah, this is true. Man, yeah, I totally forgot about the South Park games. I haven't played those. I've actually heard they're pretty fun.
Oh yeah, same. There's probably a Rick and Morty game, but I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, there is. I know there's a VR Rick and Morty game.
Okay, yeah.
So there's that. So yeah, well, okay. I don't know what I'm talking about then.
Well, I still don't think it's as common.
Yeah,
it still happens, but I think it's rarer.
Right.
I would say.
Right. So for me, a lot of these games that I played a lot of them were on the NES, and a lot of them were, mostly on NES. I played a few on Genesis and a few on Super Nintendo.
I played a Game Boy one.
I don't think I had any Game Boy like TV show games. Which one did you play on Game Boy?
One of the Ren and Stimpy games.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like one of the only Game Boy games I had, because I didn't have a Game Boy. I had a Super Game Boy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's cool.
My brother had like 3 Game Boys though. I just never really got into Game Boy games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a big, fat, gray DMG Game Boy that I was hauling around with me. Like I was playing Pokemon on my giant DMG
Yeah.
Game Boy. Everybody else had Game Boy Pockets and all that stuff. And you know, everybody else is like, yeah, yeah, and I'm like,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Like I was this close to buying a Game Boy Micro because I wanted
Dude,
the
I
one
wanted
that,
one of those so bad.
I wanted the one that looked like a Famicom controller.
Yeah,
But
same.
I didn't. I still might get one. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I
But
every
yeah,
time I see one of those, I'm like, man, regret.
yeah. I mean, dude, those are super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, so I didn't have a Game Boy back then, but I actually have two Game Boys now. Although I don't use them.
Uh-huh.
I got one that's really cool. This is like an aside. It's not what we're talking about, but you've seen this one. I think that's it's a recased Game Boy. It's got like a translucent green shell on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a replaced screen with a backlight on it, and it's got like 3 switches. One is to switch there's like LEDs in the case. You can turn them on and off.
Mm.
One of them is to switch the color of the backlight from green to blue, and then I forget what the other one.
That's crazy. I didn't know it did the color thing. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And it's got like the pro audio mod on it too, so that you can use it for LSDJ and record out of it or whatever. Then I've got another one that I bought for LSDJ use, and it's a black one, and it has NES controller buttons and D-pad replaced into it.
That's cool. My clear one has those.
It's so good.
Chef's kiss.
And that one's got a green backlit screen and the pro audio mod that's broken. It sucks. Like I don't know what's wrong with it. Like the solder joints look good, so I'm not sure what's up. Like it was like that when I got it, so it's like, man,
interesting.
Yeah,
I really want to make another one. There have been a lot of really good like IPS screens released for the Game Boy.
Ooh,
that look really nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. And there's so many cool things like that. Like somebody made a like a Game Boy Pocket looking shell for a GBA SP, like the flip one.
Oh yeah.
So you can take the guts out of that and put it into like a Game Boy Pocket shell.
With the really
basically.
good screen.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
You know, different stuff like that.
There's also like if I were to ever get another Game Boy type thing, there's like a couple devices. There's the one that you were telling me about the other day that I was like really, that's like out of stock and you can't ever get it. But there's another one that a couple of people I see in the LSDJ community using. I think Eric Brown has one, Rainbow Dragon Eyes, that looks like it has like keyboard keys on it.
Oh, that
like G8 or something. Or
yeah,
D8,
the M8, I think is what they call. Yeah, those are really nice. They're also very expensive, unfortunately.
I'm sure it looks awesome.
Here it
is.
I totally was thinking about getting one of those until I saw how much it costs.
How much?
And I
is
just
this
can't.
thing?
It's like $500. Yeah.
Man, if I were
if I was serious about it, like I'm just not serious about it. Like if I was serious about it, like that might actually be something I would consider. But you know, but you can make them. Apparently, it's like an open source kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anybody like you have to put it on some kind of like one of those little project computer things, like an Arduino or something like that.
Right.
And then you have to like have some kind of hardware to hook it up to. So I don't know if anybody's like come up with some like hardware solution for that. Anytime I've seen somebody use it, they plugged it into like a monitor and they just had a keyboard hooked up to it.
Oh yeah,
that kind of situation.
Like at that point, it's like, why don't you just use an emulator?
Right.
The whole point of this is to take it around with you.
Right. So I don't know. It's been enough time since that came out to where surely somebody has come up with some other kind of open source kind of thing you can make with that. But
yeah, you'd think. But that thing looks really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. It sounds really cool too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've never gotten proficient with LSDJ. Nothing like where you're at. I know you're gonna say you're not proficient, but you're like light years beyond where I'm at.
It's just so slow for me is the thing.
Yeah. I feel it.
Crap, I need to get back to that. Anyway. That's a different discussion. So yeah, I didn't play any portable TV show games. I can't think of any that I played. So one of the first ones that I remember playing, this is kind of weird. The Gilligan's Island game on the NES. Did you ever play this?
I played like once on an emulator like years ago. I remember nothing about it though.
Okay. So I think you're playing as Skipper and Gilligan is following you. I don't know if you can actually play as both of them. I don't know if it's 2-player. I don't know. Do you know?
I have no idea.
And I looked up just a very quick clip of the gameplay because I forgot what it was about. But apparently you're like building a hut or something, and you're going around the island collecting pieces to build the hut. Like that's the plot of the game.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, you're exploring the island, fighting monsters and collecting hut pieces, basically. So I just remember playing that as a kid and being like, what am I doing here? And just dying repeatedly. And that was about my experience with that game.
Yeah, I can see it.
So yeah, stuff like that. I don't think I had any other like live action NES things on there.
I did.
Okay. What else did you have?
So for live action, so there's like a whole category of games that may be cheating for this, but like game show games.
I was actually going to bring that up later, like Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune and all that junk.
But the one that I remember playing on NES a lot, and I got this from my uncle because like he had an NES for a while and had some games, and then he got rid of the NES, but still had a couple games, and like he let my brother and me have them. And one of the games was MTV Remote Control.
Oh, I totally forgot about that game. What kind of game is that?
It's a game show game. And so, like, there's an MTV show called Remote Control. Yeah. It's just like trivia and it's like multiple choice.
Bro, what the heck? I just remembered there was a Double Dare game.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I remember that was one of those that I was just so insanely confused about how to play it. And it was like I'd get to the first like mini game or whatever, and I could not do anything.
Yeah.
And I did that so many times, and I was just like so frustrated. And one day I finally picked it up and I played it and I figured out what to do. And I just kept playing it. I was just like so excited that I figured out how to play these little challenge things in there.
That's funny. So I enjoyed it. It's just a trivia game. That's literally all it is. Just with like specific presentation. Another one. So how are we confining this? Are we confining this part of the conversation to NES or
no? Whatever. Really quick about Wheel of Fortune. I was just going to mention this. I wanted to confirm this before I said this because to make sure I was remembering this correctly. But if you collect Wii U games, Wheel of Fortune on the Wii U is a $100 plus game.
Oh my goodness. Why?
The Wii U is such a strange system as far as like what's expensive on it. Like it's very interesting. But yeah.
Speaking of Wheel of Fortune, that's a game that I played, but not on a console. I played it on PC, but the DOS version. And there's no graphics. It's just text.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really weird. Strange.
Yeah.
The one that I played was anyway, so it must be like a really old version or something.
Yeah. That's cool.
But this was before 3D graphics cards were in like home computers and all that kind of stuff. So this would have been like, 92, early 90s.
Yeah.
Easily. I'm sure less than 10 years old.
Right.
So that was like on our very first computer we ever had. So that may have been even like 90 or something like that. Because we've had computers for a while. My dad at the time was a computer programmer, and so we got one pretty early. When I remember, I was certainly well under 10 years old. Well, me being as old as I am, that may sound like really old, but people don't realize that when you're almost 40, it's like you were a little older before things came around.
Right. That whole thing.
Yeah. But Another one that I had on NES and I played like a lot, and it is hard, and I wanted so badly to get to the final part of this game, and you'll understand why when you hear it is. But it's like I tried so hard, and it's so difficult. It is a very difficult game, and it's not even parts of the game are fun, parts of the game are not fun, and that's the American Gladiators game on
Oh,
NES.
dude. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Again, totally forgot that that game existed.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's like a Super Nintendo one, but I've never played it.
I
And there
think
may
there
be a
is, yeah.
Genesis one. I don't know. But the NES one is just like it's hard, 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 hard. Like too hard. I don't
Mhm.
know why they made it so hard. There's no reason it should be that hard.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like some of the games are supposed to be like the games from the show, but they're not. Like The Wall. You know, if you've ever seen American Gladiators, and if you haven't, highly suggest go watch some episodes of American Gladiators. It's a good show. I like it a lot. Um, the old one. The new
Yeah.
one, I guess, is okay, but the old one's really good. Anyway, it's like, so it's like the way that this show works on TV is that there's two contestants, and then there's the gladiators, and the gladiators are like roided out, ripped dudes and girls, and like it's just like it's ridiculous. And so in the show, they have like a pair of men and a pair of women that are contestants, and the men compete against each other, and the women compete against each other. And there's a set of male gladiators that play with the male contestants, and female gladiators play with the female contestants. And they have all these mini games. And so like basically the different mini games have different rules, so it's like completely wild and different. But The Wall is one where the two people, the contestants, like they climb this wall. It's like wall climbing, like, you know, rock climbing. And then they get like a 10-second or 15-second head start, and then the gladiators have to come and like pull them down. They're all like hooked up to like safety ropes and stuff, bungee cords and whatnot. And so it's like straight up, and it's like you just got to make it up to the top. But the game, it's like you have to climb sideways, and like there's parts you have to avoid, and there's parts where there's no grip, and if you try to grip, there's no grip, and then move again, you'll fall, and it's like it is really, really hard. Anyway, it sucks because I loved the TV show so much as a kid. Even now, like I just, it's a really cool concept. It's really entertaining to watch. It's like a lot of the action and stuff with sports, but it's like the whole thing's the action part. Like there's no action part of it. And so that's why it's really interesting. But like the game is just like, it's so hard to the point where it's basically not fun. The NES one is anyway.
Yeah.
Have you ever played that one?
Yes, but I don't really remember my experience with it.
Like on the TV show, basically it was all this series of mini games, mini sport games, sort of. And then at the end is this thing called the Eliminator, which was like a obstacle course, and they would race to see who would get the best time on it. And that's what I always wanted to do in the game, was to get to the Eliminator. And I think I did one time, but like I had to use a Game Genie to do it, because it's like it's just so difficult to get to the end of that game. But yeah, I could talk about American Gladiators for a long time. I could probably do a whole podcast just on American Gladiators.
That's cool.
I love that show, like unreasonably so.
This is random. Like I love like all those like the obstacle course kind of stuff, and you know, like a lot of the more recent ones where that kind of stuff has just gotten really goofy, and it's just like making fun of people like falling off and like whatever.
Oh, so like you're talking about like the what is it called on that was on Spike TV for
all that stuff. There was one that I saw. So there's this show on, or this YouTube channel that has a show called Abandoned, if you've ever seen this.
Yeah.
And they like explore or talk about abandoned places and like the history of it or whatever. And one of them was a park that was for one of those shows, and they actually explored it, and it's just so weird and creepy looking to walk into one of those places. Just and empty. You know, it's like weeds growing up everywhere, the water's freaking green, but it still has like all these like, you know, foam like spiky things and cannons and weird things just like in some deceased looking position, you know. And it's like yikes.
Man, that's wild.
So, anyway,
what is it called? It's like Kenji's something castle or something like that. The actual. So what I'm referring to is there's a show that was on TV for a while that was a game show from Japan, but then they dubbed over it.
Oh yeah, right.
weren't what the announcers and stuff were saying,
Mm-hmm.
and the contestants. They have like interviews with the contestants. They would just make up new dialogue in English,
Right.
and it's just funny. They would do it like it's completely comedic. And the show was
Yeah.
great because of that, of how the comedy was so good. Right, you are, Kenny. But it's like, it's just so funny because like it's like Power Rangers in the sense that it was actually a Japanese, game show. Like Power Rangers, the morphed part of Power Rangers was a Japanese TV show, and it's like, taking that original piece of entertainment and making it something new is just, to me, like really, really cool thing to do. Like, I've talked about this before. I'm all about like remix culture. I'm super hardcore, like on board with like Creative Commons and like, using, new pieces of media to make other new pieces of media by transformation, because that's just something really special about that to me. And that's to me, that's super entertaining because of all that.
Yeah.
It's just so, the show was so stupid.
I totally forgot about that.
What was the American show called? I can't even remember.
I don't remember. It had some wacky name.
Yeah, definitely. Dubbed in America. I want to see if I can figure out what this was called. Oh no, I'm just getting like anime dub stuff and whatever. I'll figure it out. My brother and I used to watch that so much in college.
Yeah. That's great.
I feel like it was always on TV.
And that's like a great thing to just like throw up in the background and like not even pay attention to it, but you're just randomly passing by or whatever. And it's like, ha, and then keep going on with your life.
Exactly. You hear one line and it's funny, and
yeah,
it's just worth hearing one line. You don't have to have the whole context.
Right.
And then the best part is like when they have the interviews, and then of course they do different voices for the contestants, and it's like it's so well produced that like if you didn't know that it was like a farce, that you would be like, are they really saying these things?
Right.
Anyway, we got off topic here. That's my bad. But yeah, American Gladiators. That's a cool game. I need to play the Super Nintendo one because like my recollection of seeing screenshots from that is it's more like the show than the NES one was.
See, this was like a weird time of gaming where like they had one idea for a game or whatever, like some source material for a game, and then be like, okay, you make an NES one, you make a Genesis one, you make a Game Boy one, you make a Super Nintendo one, and break. And they're all different games.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's just, it's weird. Like, and I think things aren't really like that so much these days, right? I mean, how many like multi-platform releases are there in that sense? Where I guess there are definitely multi-platform releases, but where does that even happen anymore? Where it's like a different game on the different platforms?
The only time that most recently I remember that happening is like, for example, that Ghostbusters game that came out. There was a different version for PS2 and Wii compared to like the Xbox 360, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So, or, like the Wii, like with the motion control thing, like there would be like a motion control version of a game versus, non-motion control.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything like that unless a game is being adjusted for some kind of gimmick or something like that.
True. Man, that's kind of a lost thing. I mean, I guess it's good because it was really frustrating. Going back to your TikTok this week about Virtual Bart, it's like it's so frustrating when you think that this game you're going to get or play is like this other game that you've already played, and it's like it's just not like not even close.
See, that was the thing. That was what got me there, was that I had played every Simpsons game that I knew of that existed, except for that one. And then I just only thought, well, that's it. That's the one. Because I didn't know it was called like Simpsons Arcade or whatever. Yeah, I thought that's got to be this game. Yeah. And so, of course, I blindly buy it in my, young, naive self. And that is not what greeted me there.
Bro. Dude, That Simpsons arcade game is so good.
It
It's
really
like
is,
it's so good.
bro. Yeah, um, yeah.
I was just reminiscing about playing that. Like I don't even know how many times I was able to play it because the only place that I can remember that had it was a Chuck E. Cheese that I went to. I know I've played it somewhere else because I've been to a lot of different arcades, but I just can't remember where.
Hmm.
Um, that's one that I don't think that my arcade in town here has, which is a travesty.
It is. It is an expensive game,
Yeah,
so
I can
that's not
imagine.
surprising. Like even just the board broken is like $300.
Whoa!
So
Wow, man. Is there any like digital release of that game?
they did do a digital release of that game. I don't know if you can still buy it because
Wonderful.
digital gaming, all that crap,
Oh my goodness,
DRM and all that BS, and yeah,
bruh, bruh.
surely you can. I don't know if there is a physical release of it, but I know there was a digital release of it for PS3 and probably 360.
Okay. Well,
So
maybe I just have to get a ROM.
or that. So yeah,
That's a good one. So I mean, that's a TV show game, right? So
yeah. There were
it's a beat 'em up. We haven't talked about the game though.
right.
It's
Yeah.
the Simpsons arcade game is a beat 'em up, and so you can play as what you can play as Bart, Lisa, Marge. You play as Lisa, right?
Yeah.
Marge, Homer, and that's it, right?
Right.
And then each one has a different weapon. So Bart has a skateboard, Marge has a vacuum cleaner.
Hmm.
What does Homer have?
I was just trying to remember that.
And then I don't know what Lisa has. Does Lisa have a saxophone or something?
Probably
I
a
don't.
saxophone if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what Homer has. I was just watching gameplay of this the other day. I don't know how I don't remember that.
But it's like it's perfectly animated, right? It's
Oh,
perfectly
dude,
animated in
yeah.
the Simpsons style,
Hmm.
and it's a really smooth beat 'em up game. Um, I just don't know how what else to say. It's like you're playing in the Simpsons world. Like
Yeah.
it's the only Simpsons game that I'm aware of where you feel like you're playing in fully playing in the Simpsons
Hmm.
world because the quality of everything is the same quality, if not even better than certainly better than some of the earlier seasons of The Simpsons. It's like,
Hmm.
you know, season what, probably 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there. Like when the animation gets really good, it's
Hmm.
like that quality of animation for the game. And I mean, it's got like voice acting and stuff in
Yeah.
it too, and it's just like it's just so good. Like
Hmm.
like so many of the characters show up in the game.
Yeah. The whole
Really, really
package
cool.
is fantastic. Yeah, that and freaking like the Turtles arcade game. Like I that is like arcade gaming to me. That is just like,
Yeah.
ugh. They nailed
Right. I
it.
mean, that that's those are some of the most in my perspective perfect adaptations of a TV show to a game.
Hmm.
I don't know what I could really say that's better as far as the total package. Now
Hmm.
there's some that may be better or at least as good as far as like gameplay and being a fun game.
Hmm.
There's a lot of those, I think. But those are the ones that just feel vibrant. They
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
you're in the world.
Hmm.
That's why I'm really excited about the new Turtles arcade type
Hmm.
game because I feel like it's going to be one of those too. Because
Yeah.
from what I've seen so far, it looks really good.
After playing this game, the Ninja Saviors last week, like I trust them that they're going to do justice here. And I don't know if I told you this, but I was listening to like an interview with, I don't know if it was the creative director or somebody, and he like legitimately studied the show and all of the games, and he's doing everything that he can to make sure that it represents all of that.
That's
So
awesome.
that's
Awesome.
really cool.
Man, speaking of, I need to go back and watch the show.
Yeah.
I just haven't in a long time. Like so there's a couple cartoons in my life that I, liked as a kid. And then when I got older, I went back and watched a lot of, like Transformers, like my first semester in college. Like I watched a lot of Transformers.
Uh-huh.
And then I did that with X-Men, the Saturday morning X-Men show. but I've never done it for Turtles, and I don't know why. I
Yeah.
feel like I need to do that to have a real full appreciation of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that there's stuff that I haven't seen, especially
Yeah.
some of the later stuff, which is there's only a handful of seasons, right?
I have no idea, actually. I don't know that I watched much of it on TV. That was one of those shows that I just watched a ton of VHS.
Oh, okay, yeah. Dude, I watched a you know what ton
And
on TV.
right. Luckily enough, that was one of those shows that was in my parents' store, so they had like all of the VHS.
Yeah.
So I was limited to whatever was released on that, obviously, but you know.
Sure. Yeah, I think we had like one or two VHSs that had some episodes on it, but because it's like that whole thing where it's like way before they would release like a whole season on. It would just be like 4 episodes on a.
I don't even know how they picked those episodes.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't know.
Because it seemed like they weren't always like great. Not specifically Turtles, but like on some it was like that, like Earthworm Jim, for example, like the VHS of that show. Like I think there are better episodes. Like if you watch like the whole thing. So I don't know why the heck they picked the ones that they did, but
who knows?
You know,
maybe somebody's looked at the titles of them and picked it based on the titles.
Maybe. I don't know, Zorain. I just don't know.
We're going back to The Simpsons. There's a couple games on the NES that the first one is it just called The Simpsons? I know the second one is Bart versus the World.
Yeah. Isn't there like Bart versus like Space Mutants or something like that? Isn't that one?
Oh, that must be the first one then. Yeah. It is something like that. I remember renting that game, and the first one's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like not clear. Again, one of those games is not clear what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you're just like skating around, like okay, and then it's like what I do. But I went back. This was years ago. This was probably one of the first times I ever had an emulator, and I played it. And I was able to get farther into it because I realized, I looked up what you're supposed to do and how it works. And so it's cool because like it's got a good bit of the music and stuff, but it's still got that kind of like haze between it because you have the limitations of the NES hardware, both from the music perspective, but also the graphics. And it's just the controls are really clunky as I remember it. I remember the controls on the second one being a little better, but there's very little that I remember about those games other than the first one seemed very hard.
It's kind of blurred together for me. I don't really remember. I just remember like The Simpsons on NES. Like I don't really remember what the difference was between the two.
But all of that's a pale comparison versus the arcade game. It's like it's just you're not going to get better than that. Like I don't even think. I think they would be hard pressed today to make a Simpsons game on any platform that's better than the arcade game.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
That's even as good as the arcade game.
I heard that, and I haven't played it. There's a Simpsons game, like, I think it was PS2 and Xbox and GameCube called Simpsons Hit and Run.
Oh yeah,
but it's like Crazy Taxi.
Okay,
but apparently that's a good game.
I could believe that.
But like obviously totally different from the arcade game.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what a good, like, if you're trying to like present The Simpsons as The Simpsons in a game, what would the game be? That's kind of hard to figure out. So I kind of understand why they kind of have to put these other like gaming types on to the franchise.
Yeah, and so we talked about that a little bit earlier, but so on the Genesis and on the Super Nintendo, there was these 2 Simpsons games. I don't know if there were any other Simpsons games. I don't think there were.
I'm not aware of
these
any.
are the only 2 I know of. But so there was Bart's Nightmare on the Super Nintendo, and there was Virtual Bart on the Sega Genesis. And both of these are basically just a collection of mini games.
Yeah.
They're very underwhelming mini games. I don't think they're necessarily like just horrible or anything. It's just like very underwhelming, especially if you're expecting the Simpsons arcade game. But
oh my goodness.
I think Bart's Nightmare is a little bit better because it has kind of, it's like this whole story where Bart, like, I'm pretty sure he was like writing a report or something, and he like falls asleep and he dreams that his window opens up and the wind blows his report all over the city. And
Oh
so
no.
the hub world in this is like you're walking down the street, and then when you find a piece of the report, you like land on it or whatever, and then it sucks you into it, and then that's like a mini game.
Okay,
So
yeah.
the one that jumps out in my mind is like this like you're like Godzilla and you're just parading around a city destroying stuff. And yeah, just a bunch of like random mini games like that. And then
Yeah.
Virtual Bart, I think it was like you're at like a fair or something, and then you go into this like back virtual reality room and you get strapped into this giant wheel, and it just randomly picks a mini game, basically.
Oh, what?
But that one, it was like I think that's the one where you shot like spit wads at someone or something like that. And I think the Super Nintendo had something similar to that. And then there was like a kart racing thing in there. There was like this thing where you're sliding down like some, slip and slide thing. And you like have to pick which direction you're going to go and like dodge obstacles on the way down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, why?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
A cash grab for the franchise.
Uh-huh.
So we were talking about American Gladiators, and I have another one on here that's very similar, and that's the Nickelodeon Guts game.
Oh yeah.
Which again was like it's kind of like a game show, but kind of like athletic sort of, but for kids. It's I always thought of Guts as like the kids American Gladiators, but it was worse because like it's not IMO, it's not as good. I bet it's all right. And then so it's a game.
It is in fact a game.
I don't know what to say about the Guts game. Like, do you have any thoughts on it?
I have not personally played it. I listened to you play it whenever you were playing it on stream, and I was playing drums to the music or whatever.
Yeah.
Wasn't it just the same song and repeat?
Pretty much, as far as I recall.
Didn't it like have at least a cool bass line or something?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
It's just forgettable. I think is the way to put it. I don't think I ever got to the aggro crag, did I? I don't recall.
I don't think we played it for that long. I think we switched fairly
TV
quickly.
Show Guts. Right.
Yeah.
The eliminator of Guts was the aggro crag.
Yeah. Dude, I wanted a chunk of that thing so bad when I was a kid.
Yeah. I'm surely somebody makes like a replica statue now, thing.
Yeah. Maybe I can 3D print it. I do have green filament. So there
you go. You should look it up.
Yeah. Surely somebody has done that. I did see, total side note, somebody made like a 3D printed N64 controller holder. So, and they specifically displayed it with like the translucent orange controller, and it's like it looks just like slime is holding it. So I thought that looked pretty cool.
That's super cool. Yeah, I like that. Man, that's pretty cool. I'd have to get one. I think my controller is like translucent purple is what I ended up getting.
I have an orange one that came with my orange 64, but the joystick on it is just like absolutely, just totally limp. Like it's just like barely usable.
Oh no.
But anyway,
mine's actually pretty good.
So I know that you really like, which Bugs Bunny game on the NES was it that you liked?
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Was it the
totally
birthday
did not
one?
have that on my list. Yes.
Okay.
Bugs Bunny's Birthday Blowout.
Okay, yeah.
I had that game and I played it so much, and it's like I've gone back and played it so many times, and I still like that game. There are parts of it that are hard and annoying, but like I love the music in the game. It's a somewhat fun platformer. I don't know. It's something special. It's like one of those things where like something hits you in the childhood, and then like later it like hits you in the adulthood. You know what I mean? It's, for some reason, I like that game a lot, and I think some people like it, but I think there's kind of mixed reviews on it. I don't know what the consensus is on that game, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I played that. I really need to make a list of games that I need to revisit that I played a ton as a kid. And I know that's a dangerous thing to do because right now they're living in nostalgia land, and it's like, oh, remember that game? Man, there was something that I played not too long ago, and I was like, yikes! I should have left this in nostalgia land. I
Uh
can't remember what that
oh.
was. Anyway, yeah, I played that one a ton because I remember it being like not too difficult to where I could actually enjoy it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was definitely a challenge, so I kept playing it.
Yeah. I think um, the level design in that game was actually pretty good. I think that's one of the reasons I like it a lot is that it's not it's not too simple. There are levels that are pretty simple, but there are lots that aren't. And there's challenging mechanics, especially the later you go in the game. And it's just, I don't know. It's an experience. I could 100% see somebody who didn't grow up with an NES sitting down playing the game and hating it, like absolutely hating it. Totally understand that.
Yeah.
I can understand somebody not liking it that was even well familiar with NES games because there's some parts are kind of clunky with control and like some of the platforming's a little slightly imprecise, but I don't know. When I was younger, I liked Looney Tunes as well as a lot of people do, and it was just cool to see the characters. I never particularly liked Bugs Bunny though.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't really watch a lot of Looney Tunes when I was a kid. I watched probably more Tiny Toons when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I don't know why. But a lot of times like Looney Tunes would be on, like I would have it on or something and I wouldn't be playing. This is so goofy. So at my grandparents' house when I was a kid, and looking back on this, like this probably looked ridiculous to anybody that walked in there and saw this, but in their den, like they had their main TV, and then right next to it, I had a TV that I played games on.
Okay.
And so if they weren't in there watching TV or whatever, then I would just flip up something on the TV over there.
Yeah.
Especially when Cartoon Network first became a thing, I would just turn that on, and Looney Tunes would come on a lot on that, prior to them having all their stuff.
Right.
So yeah, anyway, I probably seriously like sat down and watched a lot more Tiny Toons stuff when I was a kid. And I played, so there was a Tiny Toons game on the NES that I played a lot.
List. I had it uploaded a lot.
I loved that.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's one of those games that a lot of NES games did this, where you could play as different characters that had different abilities to do different things. Like Little Samson is that way. Bucky O'Hare is that way.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So that was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with that game.
That's another Bucky O'Hare. That's another TV show.
Yeah.
Video game.
Yeah. I didn't even.
I couldn't get into that one. Like I know that's like heralded as a great game, but I've tried some even recently.
Yeah, I did not like it when I was a kid, but I liked it when I played it a few years back. I didn't beat it. I would like to. I was actually playing that like right before we moved into this house, and I stopped because we were moving, and I never picked it back up. So
right. Yeah, I could see why people like it, and it controls well. It seems like a good game. I just couldn't get into it, and I think I'm kind of bored with those kinds of games now. If I don't already have an attachment to it, maybe that's part of the deal.
I will say it gets much better. Like I think it's about like halfway through or something. Once you you get all the different characters.
Okay.
Out the gate, it's not as fun as it is later on. So
well, maybe I should stick through it then.
Yeah.
See. Maybe I would put on Game Genie or something and be like,
right. That's always a good way to go. I did that a ton as a kid. I'm not no shame whatsoever. No shame whatsoever.
Right.
That was how I played a ton of games as a kid.
I love the Game Genie, and anybody who doesn't like that can fight me.
It made games way more accessible for me when I was much younger.
For sure.
So I also had a Tiny Toons game for Super Nintendo that I played a lot called Buster Busts Loose. And it was like kind of like a fast-paced kind of game. Yeah. I don't want to say it was like Sonic, but it was quicker.
Like Jazz Jackrabbit.
Yeah, like that kind of thing. So that was cool. And so speaking of Looney Tunes, so I played a ton of the Roadrunner game on Super Nintendo. Did you ever play that?
Man. I don't know if I played the Super Nintendo one, but I rented the Genesis one.
I never played it on Genesis.
I think it's somewhat similar, but it was a lot of fun. I really like that game.
that was another one I had to have Game Genie to help me beat it, but I did beat
Yeah.
that as a kid. I know some of you out there in cyberspace would argue you didn't beat that game, you used Game Genie. Well,
Right.
anyway, so yeah, I played that one a ton. That one, looking back on it, has a lot of like jumps of blind faith in it. Like you just don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen. But I do remember it being a whole lot of fun when you know, trap Wile E. Coyote or whatever the heck you do in that when you're running from him.
That was one of my favorite Looney Tunes, Roadrunner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love the Roadrunner, dude.
Speaking of that, there is a PS1 game, and I feel like I bring this up all the time when I'm streaming. Something reminds me of this.
Yeah.
And I actually looked it up, what it was called, and I didn't make a note of it. Oh, I left it up over here. Looney Tunes Sheep Raider.
Excuse me?
Looney Tunes Sheep Raider.
I've never heard of this.
So I'm pretty sure you play as Wile E. Coyote in this. And it's like it's for the PS1. It's like a cell shaded game.
Yeah.
So it's like a really early cell shaded game. And I haven't played this. I really want to play this. Oh, it actually came out for the PC as well too. That's cool.
Wait, isn't that called Sheep, Dog, and Wolf?
Maybe I'm looking at a different what it was called in a different region or something.
Yeah, maybe because I'm looking at Looney Tunes video games on Wikipedia, and I searched sheep, and that's the only game that has sheep in the title.
Interesting.
Okay, yeah, it was released as Sheep Raider in North America.
Oh, okay.
But everywhere else, it's Sheep, Dog, and Wolf.
Gotcha.
Weird.
So yeah, cell shaded game, 3D adventure kind of platforming game, but it has like all the like Looney Tunes gags, like you're actually Wile E. Coyote running into the wall because it has like a painting of the road on it or whatever, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So that's on my wanted list.
That was made by the infamous Infogrames.
Infogrames.
You know what they did, right?
No, what did they do?
Alone in the Dark.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. That is interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that's a game I need to go back and play. Like I'm installing that right now as we speak. I'm going to open up Good Old Games, and we are going to play some Alone in the Dark soon.
Right now on the podcast.
On podcast. I totally forgot. Like I got they had the trilogy of it on sale for like $3 one time on Good Old Games. I'm like,
that's cool.
I love this game, the first one at least, and so I'm going to play this.
There it is.
Talk about a game that's hard to control. But it's like the first survival horror game, dude. It's worth playing. You should play it. We should play it together. We should play it together and you play it. That way when you have questions or you get stuck, I can help you.
Okay.
But you can experience it.
I could be down for this. I really want to do some kind of like nighttime horror stream at some point.
Dude, yes.
I don't know. It might just be a random thing that I do.
What we'll do is we'll set up Parsec. Because Fluff and I do that, where like he plays and like we comment together.
Okay,
and so it's like synchronized.
That's cool. Yeah.
We should do that.
I'm totally down for that.
Yes.
Totally down for that.
Sweet.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, my brain just started going into planning mode.
Yeah.
Anyway, so are there any other Looney Tunes games? Taz is a Looney Tune,
yeah, there's
right?
lots of them. Do what?
Taz is a Looney Tune, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's a Taz game on Genesis that I played.
Yeah, I played that one a ton.
Yeah, it's a good one.
There's also
like
a sequel to that I have not played. It's probably more of the same with a little bit better graphics if I had to guess, but
probably, yeah.
Or not necessarily better graphics, but like different sprite work. One of those.
Right. Yeah. There's like Speedy Gonzalez games. I'm looking at the list now, so there's a lot of them.
I never saw that Speedy Gonzalez game as a kid, aside from when I played, quote, Sonic 4, unquote, that was the ROM hack of that Speedy Gonzalez game with Sonic in it.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else that really jumps out as something that I really remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Looney Tunes B-Ball. Did you ever play that?
No, I don't think I've seen that
Oh,
actually.
it's on Super Nintendo. It's so good. It's like it's exactly like Barkley Shut Up and Jam, like family friendly edition. That's
That's cool.
exactly what it's like.
That's
It's
cool.
so much fun. I highly recommend it. Like I rented this game. I wish I had bought it because I enjoyed it so much.
Mhm.
I don't know. Well, I like basketball, especially back then. I was super into basketball.
Oh, this looks
Um,
cool as crap.
it is really really cool. It's a good game. It's so much fun.
Hmm. I wonder if this is uncommon. I've never seen this before, actually. To eBay.
Yeah, dude. Get it if you can get it. Get it. Like it is worth spending some time on.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 players, so like you could play with a friend. Like it's good. It's really really good. It's kind of like NBA Jam to a degree as well, which I guess Barkley Shut Up and Jam was kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Some
Okay. Well, uh, loose is about $85.
Ooh.
That's one of those that's like held its value as far as like the cartridge goes. Like the cartridge costs as much as the game probably did back in the day.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, complete. It's like $300.
Shoo.
That's one of those like I've never seen that like amongst all the other cheapos and common things. So yeah, that's always a good indicator that it's not exactly a affordable video game.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'll definitely add that to the list.
You for sure should play it. Like it's worth playing, spending a little bit of time with it.
Mm-hmm. That's another
Um,
thing I want to do is I want to do like Mister streams where I just randomly play through a bunch of games,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be cool.
or take like requests and that kind of stuff, and
For
like
sure, man.
play for like 20 minutes or something, 15, 20 minutes, and
Yeah, yeah. Some
move
games you
on.
could beat in 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're good enough. Or if you're a bad enough dude.
Right.
Um, so we'll go back to the list here. But yeah, like that Tiny Toons game, like the one on NES, I played the snot out of that game.
Yep.
It's
Same.
really, really good. Another game, this is kind of going back to like you're talking about Gilligan's Island. I've not played this game. I know it exists. You have to tell me if you've played it. I'm pretty sure it's on NES. Three Stooges.
Oh man, that's another one of those that I have that game and I played it as a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't remember it at all. And I need
Same.
I need to actually give that a whirl and see what it's like, because I don't remember anything about it.
The only thing that I know about that game is that it's a game and it exists.
Right. That's the only thing I got additional to that is I remember that I played it.
Yeah, there you go. Another one. This is like I don't know how to speak about it. I've never played this game. It's another one that I just know exists. It's based on a cartoon. Is the James Bond Jr. game?
Oh man, yeah, I forgot about that.
I have no idea what the game's about or how.
Same.
How it is or whatever. But that's one that exists.
Yeah,
I put it down on the list.
This is funny. I'm just going to insert this here because it's not really a TV show, but I think it's like based on like commercial lore. And that is the MC Kids for the NES, the McDonald's game. Oh, that's
yeah. There's another one like that in that category. The Cool Spot games.
Oh yeah, exactly. and Yo-Noid.
I played that one.
Did you ever play Yo-Noid?
Yo-Noid's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real good game.
I had a lot of fun with that.
Oh man, I forgot about that. I got a story about Yo-Noid.
Okay, go.
I never had it, but my cousin did, and we would always have Thanksgiving at his house because like he had like kind of the biggest house of the family, and so we could all get in there and all that kind of stuff. And we would always like have the meal, and then we would go play video games. And that was one of the NES games that he had that we would play all the time because it's a good game. It's just a really good game. And then one of the other games that we would always play that he had that we didn't have is Hoops. Have you ever played that game?
I actually have not played that game.
So it's like it's not even like a real basketball game in the sense you play you can play like one-on-one, but it's like street ball.
Okay.
And so it's kind of hard to control and stuff. But the thing that I always remembered is you could play horse in that game. So that was cool.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, the Yo Noid game is really good. By the way, this is also the same cousin who had got an NES like basically on launch day and had it for that Thanksgiving, like because it came out like at the beginning of November or whatever, right? And he had it then, and we played Wave Race like the whole day.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Man, Wave Race is such a good game. That deserves a podcast.
Same. And I haven't played this, but there is also a McDonald's, like some kind of Ronald McDonald game on Genesis that is, it's made by Treasure, who made some top-notch games back in the day. So they made Gunstar Heroes on the Genesis.
Okay, yeah.
They made Mischief Makers on the N64.
I don't think I know that one.
They made there are several other like they just did like really cool like sprite work, and they did very good games visually, and a lot of fun. So I haven't played that one, but I've heard that one is very good.
Like the MC Kids game, like what is that game like? Do you know?
It's a platformer.
Okay.
I don't really remember exactly what you're doing, but it's kind of like Mario.
Okay.
Like you like hit like springs and there are blocks and you're just getting through the level basically, but you're playing as some little kid.
That's kind of like the Cool Spot game. It's sort of the same. That was fun. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got my my Cool Spot on the is that what it's called on the Genesis? Or is it called something
I think
else?
so.
Okay.
That's what I played it on.
That was one of the games I got from Game Room Trading Post back in the day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Rip.
Yeah, I think that was like the first time I was there, actually. I got that.
Man, that place was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sad that it no longer exists.
Same. Hard same.
Those bros are cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got some other games to talk about that I have played.
Okay.
The first one, the Power Rangers game. Power Rangers is a TV show.
Yes, sir.
That's a good one. Side-scrolling beat 'em up, and then.
So which one is the beat 'em up? Is it just called Power Rangers?
I think it's just called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I think.
Okay.
There's also the movie game.
So I have the movie game that's just like a fighter.
A fighter, like fighting game.
Yeah,
fighter?
like a fighting
Street
game.
Fighter.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that it's just called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Okay.
Pretty sure. I don't know. Let's find out. Power Ranger video games.
Is that the one on Super Nintendo that has the phenomenal music?
Yes.
Okay. Woo, bro.
Yeah.
Brother.
Yeah.
Cyberspace. If you like chiptunes, Zorain is looking up the title of this video game that you need to look up the soundtrack to immediately. It is so good.
So, oh my goodness. Okay. It's just called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. 1994.
Nice. Man.
So it came out on Genesis, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, Game Gear, and Sega CD. We got to hear the music on the Sega CD version, dude. Can you imagine?
Do I have that game? I don't think I have that game. I think that's one of those I was looking for.
Like the music on that was probably like wicked. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Sega CD soundtrack. Like, it's got to be good, right? It's got to be good.
Oh, no, I do have that game. How do I not remember that I have that game? This is like the most embarrassing thing about collecting games is every once in a while, you're like thinking about a game a lot and you like forget that you have it. And it's like, do I have that or do I not have that?
Yeah.
And then you end up buying it and then you go to put it on the shelf and it's like, well, cool.
2 copies.
I've only done that like once though. So at least there's that.
Yeah. Oh man, it's kind of like the TV show intro on the Sega CD version.
So I think it's like an FMV game.
Yeah, this is the FMV for the intro. I mean, it's definitely.
Yeah, I'm
It's
pretty
got
sure
like
it's
the
an
intro.
S&D
It's got like
game.
the characters and like the people. This is crazy.
Wow.
Interesting. Bro, you got to play that one.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna make a note right now. I need to add that to some list. My play a bunch of random games stream.
Yeah, dude.
That's one of those that I don't know that I would sit there for 4 hours playing it, but you know,
It'd be cool to experience for a little bit.
exactly. I'm very curious about the music on that.
Yes. And so I've got one more category game to talk about. So whatever you got.
All right, let's see. My list is all over the place. So
Yeah.
we didn't touch on like Chippendale
That's
and DuckTales.
the Disney stuff.
Is
Yeah,
that where
was
you were going?
Yeah. That's
okay.
literally the two games I got listed here.
Let's actually come back to that. I think I have a few that I just want to say some very brief things about. So, did you ever play the Flintstones game
No.
or the Jetsons game on NES?
No.
I always wanted the Jetsons game, but I never played that. And I'm pretty sure it's pretty much the same thing as the Flintstones, where it's just like a side-scrolling thing where you're, you know, doing side-scrolling things on the NES, like you do in all those kinds of games.
Did we ever talk about this, like the fan theory about the Jetsons and Flintstones? You told me about that, right?
I don't think so. No.
You haven't heard this?
No.
The fan theory that they're the same universe, that like that it's like post-apocalyptic, and the Flintstones are like trying to rebuild society.
Bro,
And that's why they have like
awesome.
no technology. It got blasted. But that's why they still have like TVs and cars and stuff, and they know about all that. But then the Jetsons, they're way up in the sky. That's like the rich people or whatever. And so they were able to build these like whole society above all of the nuclear fallout and stuff.
Bro, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. I love that.
Yeah. And that's my headcanon now. I believe that that's true.
I am now a believer as well. Thank you,
Isn't
Zoran.
that crazy?
That's hilarious.
Like I don't even know where I found that, but when I heard that, I'm like, that makes too much sense to not believe it.
Yeah. That's actually funny. So let me preface this by saying I do not collect VHS. I cannot collect VHS.
You will
I will not collect a VHS, but occasionally when I am in Goodwill looking at trying to find games or whatever, I will see some insanely nostalgic VHS, and you know, they're $1 and I just can't not do that. So anyway, I recently got Jetsons
you
Meet
collect, it's just very, very
it's
limited.
Very, very limited. Extremely limited. So I got it has like the clamshell case and everything of the Jetsons Meet the Flintstones, or Flintstones Meet the or I think it's Jetsons Meet the Flintstones or whatever. So I had that as a kid, but I just had the tape. I never had like the whole box and everything. So that's cool. And I also have this like dental cup dispenser that has the Jetsons and the Flintstones both on it from when I was a kid. And
Telling you, dude. Same universe.
Yeah.
Same
Crazy. I love that. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, I never played the Jetsons game. I always wanted to play that. I played the Flintstones game. I remember it was, you know, it was fine. I had fun with it, but it was, you know, I can't imagine it being that great or anything. Then there are actually two Flintstones game. One is very common and one is like one of the rarest games on the NES.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's the same story as Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut. So, what is it called? Surprise at Dinosaur Peak, I think is what it's called. And it's basically looks very similar to the other Flintstones game, except it was a Blockbuster exclusive and you couldn't buy it in stores. It was one of those things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you ever see that's one of those things I always look for, is if somebody accidentally labeled that game as the other Flintstones game.
Oh, my goodness.
Like one of the Game Chasers' first episodes, they were in Game Exchange, and that happened. They found that game for like $5. And I don't know how much it's worth now, but you know, at the time it was worth like $400 or $500. So,
holy crap!
Yeah,
So certainly more than that now.
Certainly. So
Well,
yeah,
going back to this whole lore thing, it makes sense to even think about the theme song. They're the modern Stone Age family,
bruh,
right?
bruh, dude.
I'm telling you, it's real.
Is that
It's
like a
real.
YouTube video, or is that some kind of like just like some write up somewhere that somebody did,
Oh,
or is
I
it
don't
just
know.
something a story passed down from generation to generation kind of thing?
I can't even remember where
Okay,
I heard that. It
I'll
was
have to look that
relatively
up.
recently, probably within the past year or two.
I need to know more, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
It is a quite intriguing and compelling thought to hear for the first time.
Right.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah. Okay. Noted. Let me make another note about that. I need to look that up. I need to have just a notepad right here that's like that specifically for the podcast. Things that Zerain talks about that I need to research a little bit more. So what was I going to mention? Okay, so there were a few other cartoons that had games that I wanted to talk about very quickly as I finish up my note about deep Flintstones and Jetsons lore. Okay. So this is actually a game. This is okay. So like, total tide tangent, total side tangent. That's what I was about to say. Total side tangent. One of my favorite things about collecting games is like having a game and like this game, like this is what experience is tied to this game for me. Like this is what I remember like that happened when I got this game, or where I got this game from, or like what road trip I was on when I got this game, or what was going on in my life or whatever. So this game I bought when Kmart was going out of business here in town. And it was the last video game that I bought from Kmart. And it was, they were wholesaling everything in the store because, they were closing the store and all that stuff. Which, side note, that building still has nothing in it. It has never had anything in it since that store closed.
Wait, which one was? Well,
it was on
I don't
Winchester.
Okay, yeah, because
So-
there's one, the one in Millington.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
When they were shutting that one down, I went and was always looking at the video games.
Yeah.
and I almost bought some stuff then, and of course, I wish I had now.
Yeah. So this was the only thing that I got there at that time. But this was the Rocco's Modern Life game.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you ever played that, but
no.
the sprite work is really cool from what I remember, but it's like one of those where what's his dog? Spunky, I think is his dog.
Spunky,
Yeah. So his dog is like you want to get his dog to the end of the level, and there are all these like obstacles or different things you have to interact with. It's basically like a puzzle game where a character is moving across the screen, across the map, and you have to do different things, manipulate the level and whatever so that they get to the end of the level.
Right.
So I remember buying that, and I played that constantly until I beat that. Like I wore that game out. But that's one of those that's like, it's a lot of fun because it's when you're a kid, because it's like not super difficult, but it's like, it's not difficult, but it's challenging, I guess, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So, figuring out what you need to do to manipulate the level and remembering all the different orders and things that you got to do. So,
nice. I like that cartoon. That cartoon's not for kids.
Right. Oh man.
Of course, I don't remember that as a kid, but going back and watching some more as an adult, it's like,
Yeah, I watched. We're talking about this now. I watched a Nickelodeon documentary like a couple weeks ago. Actually, it's called like the Orange Years.
Okay.
It's on Hulu, and it like talks about a lot of that stuff. How like nobody was really, moderating what these people were creating. They were just like doing stuff and pushing it out there.
Wow.
So going back and looking at it and realizing
so creative.
Right, exactly. Realizing that Rocco was like worked on a sex hotline for a little while, like, hello,
oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
Right.
I remember that so vividly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so that so along the same lines as that, the Ren and Stimpy game. So I had a Ren and Stimpy game on the NES. It was called like Buckaroos or something like that. Did you play any of the Ren and Stimpy games?
The Game Boy one, but that was it.
Oh, that's right. We talked.
I don't know. I don't even remember which one that was, to be honest.
Yeah. It it may have been that same one, like a port of it. That's
Possibly.
very possible. So that was the one that I had as a kid. I remember it being very hard, so I didn't really enjoy it very much. One of
Yeah.
those where I just couldn't
Yeah.
like even freaking beat the first level.
Right.
But there was one on the Genesis that I played a ton with a friend called Stimpy's Invention, where if you play it single player, I'm pretty sure you can alternate between the two characters and do different things to progress through the levels, and you're collecting the pieces of his invention or whatever.
Gotcha.
But when it was like one of the very few co-op games back in the day.
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
could one person.
Simultaneous.
Yeah,
Like
exactly, exactly.
you never had that.
Yeah.
Like it was always like player one, then player two.
Exactly. So we played that a ton because we could both play at the same time and progress through the level. And it had that cool thing where you could, like, Stimpy could use Ren as like a pogo stick to like leap over things. So it was like a platformer, but there were little puzzle sections in it where you might have to figure out some move that you need to do to get over that obstacle or whatever.
That's cool.
So I enjoyed that game a lot. And another game that we played a lot was the Beavis and Butthead game
Oh yeah.
on
Played
the
that one.
Genesis.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah. So that game, and there was actually a PC version of this, it was kind of a different game, I think. But I think the one I'm thinking of, it was on Genesis and Super Nintendo. But it was kind of like, it played kind of like a point and click game, but you were actually controlling the characters in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the PC one is like a point and click game.
Okay.
So it's very interesting that they like kind of changed that up there. But I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Sure.
So yeah, that's one of those that I don't think has aged very well. There's like some stuff in it that's pretty difficult for just no reason whatsoever. One of those situations. But it's been a long time since I played that, so I don't know. Need to add that to the list to check out as well. I need a nostalgia stream. That's what it needs to be, is like
Right.
nostalgia or actually good. Something like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Man.
What else? I think that's basically everything that I wanted to talk about except for those Disney games.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything besides those. Which is a big topic.
Yes.
So I've played a lot of them, but the only ones that I ever spent significant time on are DuckTales and Chip 'n Dale.
Mm-hmm. As you should.
Right, which definitely are awesome games. Unreasonably awesome games, if you ask me.
Yes.
Like, just the platforming is precise. Especially DuckTales. It's like it's with the using his cane as like a pogo stick. It's just like it's so satisfying to like jump from one thing to another to another to another. And it's just,
I think that's why I like Shovel Knight, to be honest with you, is because that mechanic is just straight out of that game.
Yeah, totally. I could see that for sure. And it's cool, the whole like choosing the level thing. DuckTales has a lot more flexibility in this than Chip 'n Dale, but once you get past a couple levels in Chip 'n Dale, it's like there's a lot of different paths you can take. They both get really hard. They're challenging games. They're not easy, but they're not impossibly hard. That's what's really cool. It's a really good balance in the difficulty. It's got the music from the shows. I mean, what else can you really say? Like the sprite works really good for the time. I mean, good games, solid, totally solid. I mean, the music in Chip 'n Dale to me is just like
fantastic,
unparalleled.
Yeah,
it's just awesome.
Yeah. So I loved those. The Darkwing Duck game. I love Darkwing Duck, but that game is fantastic if you like Mega Man. It plays very similar to Mega Man.
Okay, I need to play it then.
As you would expect from Capcom.
Sure.
They made all these games, right?
Yeah,
Chip 'n Dale,
sure.
DuckTales, and Darkwing. Yeah,
those three for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All three of those games are fantastic games. And another one that I had forgotten about, and to prepare for this, I was looking at my games over there, and I just remembered this game existed and immediately got the theme song stuck in my head, and
Uh-oh.
that is Tailspin. And I couldn't quite remember how this game plays. I remember that it was like a horizontal shooter, like a shmup kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I looked up a little gameplay of it, and I totally I understand why this was so hard for me back in the day. Which, first of all, I could not play games like that back, like horizontal shooters like that. I was horrible at them.
Yeah.
But it's cool because it's like it's like the screen scrolling, but you can also turn around and go back the other way.
Oh, wow.
And then you have to like actually navigate through the different areas.
Okay.
In the level, so you like fly into an area, and then you have to like flip back around and go back this way, and then flip back around and go back this way. So that kind of stuff.
That's intricate.
Yeah. So totally see how I sucked at that. But
Yeah. Wow.
I don't.
That's cool though.
Yeah. Very cool looking back on it, but I did not enjoy that one at all when I was younger. I much preferred the other three.
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time with DuckTales particularly. And I never had that or Chippendale that I can recall, but since emulation became a thing, I've played them both a lot.
Yeah.
And they're just, I don't know, they're solid. It's like, I don't know what criticism you can make of those games.
Yeah.
Especially for the time. It's like, it's, I won't say they're perfect games, but they are definitely some of the best games on the NES for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been way too long since I played those. I played the DuckTales remastered when that came out.
Oh yeah.
And I am not by any means like a DuckTales connoisseur of how that game played on the NES, so I couldn't tell you how accurate it is, but I mean it's still fun. It's like it's the same thing but with like more hand-drawn looking sprite work basically.
Yeah,
instead of the, pixel art or whatever.
Right.
So,
that's cool, man.
yeah.
I should give that a whirl because like I did enjoy DuckTales.
I would be curious to hear what somebody who like really enjoyed that game thinks about that.
I'll take a look at it.
So yeah, that whole thing.
I'm sure it's good. The only way it wouldn't be is if somehow the physics feel like really off.
Yeah, that's the thing with stuff like that is the physics has to be like 100% accurate. Otherwise, somebody's like, "Nah, bruh, nah."
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The Sonic community is very particular about that. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Understandably so, I think. Because, that's a lot of what that game is got to go fast, right?
Exactly. Got to go fast.
Well, man, yeah, I don't think I have any others to talk about unless you do.
Man, we got through my entire list here. I'm guessing we got through yours as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We hit everything.
No part two.
Unless you wanted to do the other way around. Video game TV shows.
There is some stuff there.
Right.
There is some stuff there.
Not a lot, but some.
I lied. There's one other game that I wanted to talk about. This is another one of those like co-op you can play at the same time kind of games. And it is, I think, one of the best examples of how graphics can look like they can look fantastic on the Genesis. Like how like a lot of like 3D effects and stuff like that with sprite work. So did you ever play Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Genesis?
No, but I've heard a lot of people
it's
rave
fantastic.
About that.
It's super hard, but it's fantastic.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's like a side-scrolling action game.
I watched a little bit of the cartoon. I thought the cartoon's pretty good.
Yeah. I also watched a little bit of the cartoon. I didn't watch nearly enough of the cartoon. I hear a lot of people saying that there's some really good stuff going on there.
That's like, isn't that the origin of Harley Quinn?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game's kind of
know that.
Right. Yeah, this game's kind of it's kind of like a Contra kind of game.
Okay. Well, you have my attention now.
Yes.
I do like Contra.
Yeah. But yeah, the graphics are fantastic. The sprite work is like I don't I think it's probably the best looking Genesis game, IMO.
Really?
Yeah. I can't think of another that looks as good as like some of the stuff that this game does visually is just
Yeah.
it's very artistic visually, you know.
That's cool. Well, yeah, I mean, even the cartoon was very stylized, you
Yeah.
know, and it had its own flavor and character, and I think that's one of the many reasons that it was such a success as a cartoon is because it stood out. You know, like Batman. Okay, sure, Batman again, but it's like
Right.
it. It's almost like I think, and this may be an accurate statement. You tell me what you think. I feel like that cartoon series really gave Batman a modern characterization.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you could talk about the freaking Christopher Nolan movies as making it gritty and real, whatever. But I think that up until that cartoon series, at least in my mind, Batman was like freaking Adam West in like the old TV show, which was good, but still kind of goofy. You know, it had like that whole thing.
Dude,
this made Batman more serious, I think.
Right.
Which I guess you could say the 89, or was it 88 or 89 Michael Keaton Batman movie did that too.
89, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a VHS of I don't know if it was that Batman, just like a longer episode of that show, if it was a movie. Was there a movie released of that older show?
I don't know.
I don't remember what it was exactly, but I watched that constantly when I was younger.
Yeah.
I loved that. I loved Goofy Batman.
Oh, there was a movie of you talking about the Adam West Batman stuff. Yeah, there was a movie.
Okay. It was probably that movie then.
I hear it's really bad, but
I don't remember at all. I just remember, it's one of those things where I watched it when I was like so young. I just remember like brief flashes of it, you know?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like that whole series with Adam West was just like we said, goofy. It's like it's hard to take it too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But then, the Michael Keaton Batman movie, I need to go back and watch that because I haven't watched that in a long, long time.
I haven't either.
But
right there,
people want to talk about Christopher Nolan being gritty. That movie was gritty. Mm-hmm. It was very stylized, the whole like, because it's a what's his name?
Tim Burton.
What's the guy's name? Huh?
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. Yeah, it's a Tim Burton movie. Mm-hmm. So it's very stylized and dark, like Tim Burton stuff. Yeah. But it's also very gritty and serious. I mean, it's like Joker's no joke in that movie. Jack Nicholson played a really good Joker, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Definitely.
I have good memories of that movie.
Same. Right there with
Probably
you.
not a movie kids should have seen, but whatever.
Probably not,
Here we are.
But here we are. Anyway.
So next week, are we going to do the video game TV shows?
Yeah.
I could think of one that's really worth talking about that's not precisely a video game TV show, but it is a video game TV show.
Okay. Yeah, I can only think of one off the top of my head, but I know.
Really?
Yeah, really.
I could think of at least 4.
Yeah, anyway, we'll save that until I see, Zorain, my brain does this thing. I don't know if you know this about me, where it just files information away. And I have to go searching for the information. It's just not accessible. I just have to go digging through some file cabinets, and then it all comes rushing back,
Yeah. It's like you open the file cabinet, it's like a cartoon, or it's like
I just see the label, right? Right. And then I just see the label on the manila folder, and I just remember it all. I don't even have to look at what's in the folder,
Yeah.
But anyway. So yeah.
There's probably half a dozen if we think hard enough.
Yeah, and I know I saw some when I was looking through my games over there, but anyway, whatever.
True.
So, Zorain.
Oh, that reminds me. Sorry, there's actually a really modern one too to talk about. For that, so
okay,
we'll figure that out next week.
Okay, we will figure that out. We will straight up figure that out. No spoilers.
I need to write it down before I forget. Okay. All right. Cool.
So, Zorain.
Yes.
The people of cyberspace love you. I hear applause through the interwebs and the cyber tubes right now as we speak, and they are just cheering you on, and they want to know, how the heck do I keep up to date with everything X? What do they do?
Well, you can go to xerain.net, xeraen.net, and you'll see a listing of links, and that will show you everywhere on the social medias and elsewhere on the inner tubes and cyberspace lands that I exist. And yeah, come check it out, hang out, and it'll be a good time.
Fantastic. Likewise, michaelk.net/links gives you a listing of very similar things involving me and also involving Xerain. And so this podcast, if you're watching it on YouTube, there's an audio version. And if you're listening to it, there's a video version on the YouTube. So if you go to hyperpixelpodcast.net, you can see all the different things, all the different ways to consume our voices and our faces. So there's that. So cyberspace has been fantastic. It's been excellent. It's been real. I'm looking forward to actually, doing a little bit of research on this and digging through the file cabinets in my brain and trying to figure out some stuff to talk about next week. Because I know there are other things out there that I'm not thinking of. And the moment that I remember it, it's going to be like, aha, that. Okay, anyway. So cyberspace has been fantastic. It's been real. We will see you next time out there in cyberspace land on the HyperPixel podcast and a stream and YouTube and podcasts and Spotify. Anyway, everybody take care.
Peace. Bye.
Deuces.